So people keep asking, Mr. Attack, what are your political beliefs? Like that matters somehow. And I always say, who cares about the label? Label doesn't really matter so much. What matters are the policies, right? Fine, okay, whatever. Anyway, we're gonna do the political compass test, so I have an answer. Because content, okay? Before taking the test, note that this isn't a survey, these aren't questions, they're propositions. To question the logic of individual ones that irritate you is to miss the point. Some propositions are extreme and some are moderate. That's how we can show you whether you lean towards extremism or moderation on the compass. Your responses should not be overthought. Some of them are intentionally vague. Their purpose is to trigger reactions in the mind, measuring feelings and prejudices rather than detailed opinions on policy. All right, this is a good start. A lot of people who, especially like a lot of conservatives who take this test and whatnot, they definitely are the reason for that introductory paragraph. I think it's fun to talk about these things and elaborate them anyway, because why the not? We don't want Michael Knowles and Ben Shapiro to be the only ones dominating the algorithm. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Strongly agree. Who cares what the corporations think? I want the people to be the ones who benefit. Oh wait, they're transnational corporations. Corporations say trans rights. Ooh, ooh. I'd always support my country, whether it's right or wrong. Strongly disagree. Because your country can suck. It could be wrong. No one chooses their country of birth. It's foolish to be proud of it. Strongly agree. Your country, like I said, your country can suck. Our race has many superior qualities compared to other races. Strongly disagree. Easy. My enemy is my friend. Disagree. They could be an enemy or they could be a neutral agent you don't care about. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I'm a disagree because I don't want to get involved in foreign entanglements. We probably agreed to those international laws in the first place. There's now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. I can agree. Even though I'm part of that, I worry that some things like Tucker Carlson are this is not news, this is not entertainment, but people consume it like it is. I don't like that. People are ultimately more divided by class than nationality. Strongly agree. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I'll strongly disagree with that. Inflation's important, but ultimately we should really care about everyone having the means for survival and means to thrive. If that's the form of employment, then yeah, that's fine. I'd rather we not require people to be employed, but because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Strongly agree. They will poison your well, poison the river, and set it all on fire if it made a buck. From each according to his ability, to each according his need, is a fundamentally good idea. Strongly agree. I know that quote. That was written by Marx, baby. Freer the market, the freer the people. Disagree. I don't know what free market actually means. I mean, it's not written in stone, and it seems to vary depending on person to person. Some people seem to think it's just, there's no regulation at all. And it's well, there's no regulation. What's to stop you from having slaves? People aren't free in that case. You know what? Strongly disagree. I just convinced myself further. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. Strongly agree. Some places, like in smaller countries, large corporation buys the rights to the water and sells it back to them at ridiculously overpriced. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Yeah, I agree. On the one hand, I get it. I get that it's kind of been a thing we've had for quite a long time. It's kind of weird for a lot of people to grasp their minds around a society where that's not the case. But at the same time, looking at landlords now and rent and everything, it's I don't think this system is tenable. I don't think we can keep going. We gotta do something to reform this. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Strongly agree. We can get into more of that, but a lot of that's venture capitalists. We got algorithms now. Used to be you did it by math, but now it's we got fucking algorithms that can determine this sector looks pretty good. We're going to invest money in this now. And it's you didn't even design the algorithm. You paid someone else to design the algorithm. Now you're running it. And now you're investing the same high capital you had to begin with. I know that sounds crazy, but I suggest you look into modern venture capitalism. Maybe we should make a whole video on that. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. I'm a disagree. I would be kind of neutral, but I'm a disagree. One thing that we could do for protectionism is like we could have a copyright system that helps smaller creators more so than larger corporations do. I can see a world where we have something like that. Not what we have right now, but I could see that world, and I could see copyright protections are a form of protectionism. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver profits to its shareholders. Strongly disagree. Don't fucking poison the river. The rich are too highly taxed. Strongly disagree. The rich now pay less taxes than the lower tax brackets do as a percentage. It's fucking ludicrous. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Strongly disagree. Just because you have more money doesn't mean you have the right. Doesn't mean you should get a better fucking medication. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Strongly agree. If they're not going to do it, we're going to throw a Michelin tire through your front window. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. I think that's a confusing question, but I'll just side with agree. I feel like the idea of having any sort of restrictions goes against a free market, and that's why a free market's not so good. But I don't want predator multinationals to create monopolies. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Strongly disagree. All authority should be questioned. Why? Nah, strongly agree. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Strongly disagree. Wasn't this from the Code of Hammurabi? Like, I think the significance of that was like it was like the first like actual legal code. Of course, we don't live in those times anymore. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. No. Then we got to take the executioner's eye, or not the executioner, but the eye remover's eye, and then someone's gonna take that guy's eye. And the cycle of violence keeps going. It never ends. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. I'll strongly disagree. Sometimes, like, the benefits that a theater or museum provides are worth it, regardless of their commercial viability. Also, like, we should care about art. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I'm gonna go strongly disagree, although I will say, like, if someone's got, like, health problems or something that makes it difficult to be in class, like in a physical classroom, I'm not gonna blame them. I guess this political compass test was written before COVID, so now it's like we might have interactive education through the internet be it might actually be like a regular thing our schools do now, which is a long overdue upgrade, actually. All people have their rights, but it's better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Strongly disagree. Man, I like people. I like talking to people, even people different than me. That makes them more interesting. If I just wanted to talk to people like me, I'd just sit in my room all day, talking into the microphone, talking to my low viewer stream count. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Strongly disagree. Problem with spanking your kids, you're not really teaching them anything. You're just teaching them, you're spanking them. There's research on this that's like, corporal punishment doesn't really work on kids. What works best is like training a dog. It's like, they respond best to positive feedback. You got to do something that makes them want to do something. While spanking a kid or something like that is kind of only teaching them to hide it from you. They're not associating that what they did is something bad that they shouldn't do. What they're associating is what they did will lead to negative consequences if you find out. So they hide it. You don't want that. That can lead to other stuff. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Strongly agree. That's kind of a natural thing of humanity and growing up, actually. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. Strongly agree. That being said, go easy on it, Don't do this every day. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Strongly disagree. Problem with that, we never really know what the future is going to look like. Never really know what the job market's going to look like in 20 years. You want students to be, and the populace at least, to be like, generally all around educated. You don't want people to be like, oh yeah, I can go get a job in this and that, and I'm good right off the bat. But it's like, Do you know anything about like interacting with people in the workplace? Nope, you just know technical skills. Oh, you're gonna be a problem employee because you keep sexually harassing people because you never learned any of that other stuff? Okay. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. Strongly disagree. I can't imagine like trying to force that on anyone, and the idea of the state doing that is even worse, even more horrifying. Although I will say, like, you know, if you're one of these people and you want like a vasectomy, you should be able to get a vasectomy. If you're one of these people and you want birth control, you should be able to get birth control. But everyone should. It's not necessarily specific to them. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. I'll strongly disagree. Now, self-discipline is good, but accept discipline is probably not self-discipline. Accept discipline is like discipline from others. That's not necessarily teaching you anything. It's just teaching you that someone's gonna kick you around. Just teaching you that there's a man above you, man. There are no savage and civilized peoples, only different cultures. Strongly agree. Those who are able to work and refuse opportunity should not expect society's support. Strongly disagree. Why should you be forced to work? I've never heard a good answer for that. I know we say like, oh, this homeless guy, he didn't want a job. But like, think about it, like, why should someone be forced to work? We have the means to feed and clothe and house everyone, and it's not really all that expensive. It's not the expectations our society places upon us. When you are troubled, it is better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. Strongly disagree. Sometimes, oftentimes, it's best to confront it. It's best to confront the problem and deal with it and get it over with. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. No, strongly disagree. What's good for the most successful corporations is always, ultimately, good for all of us. No. No. Strongly disagree. It's conceivable, like, oh yeah, the most successful corporation involves extracting blood from orphans, so therefore they have a financial investment to make sure there's more orphans in the world. That's not good. That's not good for society. That's not good for all of us. Good for the corporation, though. Makes some big bucks. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. I'll strongly disagree. You fund infrastructure to adapt to the current job market and let it progress. I disagree. While I get what you're saying, I got an issue with that, especially with COVID now. COVID kind of showed like everything just kind of table got flipped. The best we can do for policies like that is like whack-a-mole. You're just reacting to what's going on around us. And sometimes economic policies can take many years before we can see their full impact. I actually don't even remember what the original point was. So it doesn't really matter. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. Strongly agree. I don't think there's not really any debate about that unless you're like a goddamn fascist already. A significant advantage of a one-party state is it avoids all the arguments that would delay progress in a democratic political system. Nah, I'll disagree. Even a one party, there's still conflict. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Strongly disagree. It's very easy for that to be taken advantage of. They can easily define wrongdoer as anyone they don't like. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Strongly disagree. I don't want them executing people. You could be wrong. You could execute an innocent person. Maybe they'll just start fucking executing everybody. And it's like, well, we only executed criminals. Yeah, all right. Sure you did. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed, people below to be commanded. Strongly disagree. Strict hierarchy. Jordan Peterson would love that one. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Strongly disagree. How do you know what art is? Something that I might love, you might not like. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. Strongly disagree. Punishment isn't shown to do anything that works. Rehabilitation, well, it doesn't always work, but it's a good effort. Sometimes some criminal justice is like, we need to keep these people away from everyone else. But that's not in the question. It's a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. I'll disagree. There are some people who are just bad eggs. But at the same time, I don't know if it's necessarily a waste of time just to try. You should always try. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I'll strongly disagree with that. I don't really know how you can quantify importancy in this. I guess some people would say money. I don't like that one though. Mothers may have careers, but the first duty is to be homemakers. Strongly disagree. Yuck. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. That is an esoteric question, but I will strongly agree with this. I just love paying for my seeds every single year. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Strongly disagree. The more I got older, the less at peace I am with it. Fuck the establishment. Burn it all down. Astrology accurately explains many things. Strongly disagree. Anyone who's too into astrology is like weird. I don't know. Isn't this like a caste-based system in some way? You're putting people born in different months, you're putting them into different castes, more or less. It is kind of weird if you think about it. Maybe I'm just ignorant of it. Although most of the definitions in astrology are like basic adjectives that apply to everyone. Doesn't really mean anything anyway. None of it can be verified. You cannot be moral without being religious. Strongly disagree. I don't know how you would define moral, but I guess each individual person can have their own moral. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Strongly agree. I mean, strongly disagree. No. Charity is just like shrugging and saying, maybe society will magically fix it itself. That's not a fucking solution. That's just going to make things get worse when you turn a blind eye to it. Some people are naturally unlucky. Yeah, I'll agree. I don't think luck exists. There are some people who are like, they get dealt a really bad hand in life. Not much that can stop all of it. We can't alleviate the worst effects of that. That should be our goal. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Strongly disagree. Keep it out of the fucking school. Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. Strongly disagree. I'm not waiting for fucking marriage. A little late for that. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Strongly agree. All the stats on this say that there's no difference in long-term effects of children raised in a same-sex couple versus a heterosexual couple. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Strongly agree. I don't think I need to give much of an explanation. It's part of art. It's part of freedom of speech. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Strongly agree. That's the magic word. Consent. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Strongly disagree. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. No, strongly disagree. We should always be like fair and honest and open about these things. Like even if you're someone who doesn't like sleep around a lot, even if you're someone who doesn't really want to like hook up with people you want to wait till marriage, it's still fine to be open about all of it. Let's see where I stand. Boom. There we are. Economic left. -9. Social libertarian. -9. Close enough. How's that for an answer, everyone? But like I said before, don't worry too much about like labels. A lot of people talk about labels and they just get kind of bogged down in them. Let's talk about policies. That's what affects people's lives. That's what people care about. Even in Florida, they voted for like a $15 minimum wage, and it's like people care about the policies. Even though they voted Trump, they care more about. They still voted in some progressive policies because it's the policies in the end that ultimately do win out. People do care about what's gonna affect their lives. When given the option of choosing something that will directly affect their lives, it's a hell of a lot easier to get people motivated and on board with it. Otherwise, you sit there and it's like, oh yeah, I'm a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, and I am a Trotskyist. And it's like you've lost everybody listening to you. Don't do that. Just come in and say, hey, you know what? You pay too damn much for your pills. We're going to get Medicare for all passed. And then they're like, all right, hell yeah, let's do it. That's how you do it. That's how it goes. It's time to thank the November patron backers. Dios, Elsie Hupp, George, Jari Palama, and Mellow Cheddar.